enter into nirvana, which means emptiness. And emptiness is the highest achievement. Achievement, even the wrong word, the highest way of understanding your true self. The true self is no self. So the true self is being able to detach all your forms relationships, not only among human beings, but animals, plants, minerals. So you have this internal understanding of the self as precondition for, using the Christian word, salvation. From the Taoist point of view, if you want to achieve, if not immortality, the highest attainment of a Taoist sage, you also need to eliminate all your primordial ties. Yangming studied vigorously. He returned to the Confucian mode of thinking in his 30s. So if you want to imagine yourself right now, you're all involved in some form of spiritual cultivation based upon your understanding of the self. You're not interested in relationships, even though you have to go through relationships in order to survive. You're not interested in interconnectedness of the world. You're interested in the self, especially the inner core of the self. And Wang was quite successful. And he was perceived by his friends as someone who is very much on his way to be able to detach from all these entanglements. So he went to a cave. He's called Yangming, Master Yangming, because the name of the cave was Yangming. He stayed in the cave with minimum food for survival and was very much a recluse. But there's one thought, I may have mentioned it before, one thought that was extremely difficult for him to get rid of is the attachment to his grandmother, who is still alive, probably in her 70s, and also his father. His father actually earned the first prize in terms of examination. You know, the examination happened only once in 3 years. Thousands of people or millions of people engaged in the examination, and he distinguished himself through many, many major exams and ranked #1. So his presence was overwhelming. And Wyoming was also difficult to totally detach from the influence of his father. Only these two attachments, maybe just one, meaning attachment to someone who is very, very close. Then he asked himself, if I get rid of these kind of attachment, you know, according to the Buddhist and Taoist sense, you'll be liberated. Would I still be a human? The idea is to be human is not the highest value. You de-emphasize your personality, de-emphasize relationships, then you'll be able to become liberated. And his response to that question is that I want to remain a human. But that question, as many of you may recall, was the question Confucius asked. He was tempted by the kind of proto-Taoist to leave the world. You cannot change the world. The world is in such a way that you become totally demoralized, depersonalized. You couldn't change the world. You couldn't live authentically, using existential term, authentically in the world. So you should get rid of the world by leaving it. But Confucius made an observation and actually a commitment. I cannot herd with birds and beasts. I am a human being among other human beings. So he had to choose to transform the world from within. This is very distinctive in terms of all major spiritual traditions. All major spiritual traditions imagine or accept a reality which is totally outside of the lived world here now. That is the source of the meaning of life. Either God, Allah, or Nirvana. And these highest manifestation, even in the Greek sense of the logos, a real philosopher is to engage himself or herself in a contemplative mode of life, not in practice. Practice may come later, but unless you're able to understand the truth of the world, the reality of the world, through your imaginative, through your contemplative mode, you'll never be fully developed as a philosopher. You'll never be a Christian if you do not eliminate some of these entanglements by following the truth, following the embodiment of truth, incarnation. God is incarnated in Jesus. Now Wyoming decided to return. And the idea of the unity of theory and action was first formulated after he returned to the world. Now he's a practical person. You know, some of you may have encountered a brief biography. He was not only involved in politics, he once served as a general. He's accomplished in some of the martial arts, especially archery and horsemanship. And also he was a major strategist in terms of military campaign. He was successful in some of the major military campaigns. So some scholars criticize Wyoming as totally split personality. On the one hand, he was a great moral philosopher, a great thinker, following the Confucian way. On the other, he was so practical, he probably had to deal with legal matters, with mobilizing people for major construction work, like bridges and roads and so forth. He had to govern govern the province. Sometimes he had to design the special community, because the society totally disintegrated in the area he was in control. So he was very much involved in practice. This may have contributed to his notion that